Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Peveler. I'm the Vice President of Sales at AtlasIED, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the very first AtlasIED, The Power of Partnerships podcast. A lot of P's, and I got it out without tripping up. Proud of myself. I am joined here today by Eddie Reynolds, President and CEO at Iluminar, and Brian Karras from Iluminar as well. Welcome. Hi.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. So
thanks for putting this together, Mike.
I'm Eddie, just in case.
You're Eddie.
There's
That's
Eddie
right.
and people are wondering which one.
You are absolutely the Eddie, right? The. So
that's right.
And we even have a guest in the background with Brian. I love it. I'm playing down in the room, so we're all doing great, man. Welcome to Work From Home. So we're here today to talk about partnerships. I'm assuming that most of the people seeing this may have some familiarity with AtlasIED because it's coming out of the Atlas marketing department. So let's learn a little bit more about Iluminar. And so Eddie, can you tell us a little bit about the company, and then you guys can talk a little bit about some of the product and offerings you all have?
Sure thing. So hello again. My name is Eddie Reynolds. I'm president and CEO of Iluminar, Inc. Iluminar means to light in Spanish. So with that, we make LED, infrared, and white light illuminators for surveillance, for medical, for anything. It's an everything goes because it's lighting. So infrared lighting is invisible lighting that's invisible to human beings because we see in color, but can be seen by cameras in black and white mode. And then white light illuminators, which we have here, part of my lighting for me for the video. White light can be used for anything, and that's what we're using specifically with our partnership with AtlasIED.
Awesome. And do you guys want to talk about any more of the product and some of the things that you have? Tell us a little bit about some of that lighting that you're using with AtlasIED, or any of the other options you have as well.
Sure. Now I'll pass it over to Brian on that more technical aspect, because Brian actually works for his company, Pelican Zero, and they are a consultant for Iluminar. They do technical consulting as well as some product development. So I'll let him go into some of the fun things that he's got going on with Iluminar that pertains with our partnership with AtlasIED.
Thanks, Eddie. So I've known Eddie for well over a decade, and it started from partnerships when I was part of a camera company. So again, just speaking to the power of partnerships in general. And at that time, we had a lot of outdoor applications, which obviously still exist. But now, as we're using lighting in more ways indoors, not just for the illumination aspect to make the camera see better, but also for different kinds of signaling to people about different events and things that may be going on indoors. So the current products have all been DC or AC powered and have had telemetry inputs, a simple contact closure style input to turn it on or off. And then some of the next generation product that you'll be seeing in the upcoming quarters here is some new form factors that are more aesthetically pleasing for indoors, and some other control options, adding network control or RS-45 bus controller, just doing things to make it easier to incorporate the lights with other kinds of products. We're doing our best to adapt to how other things already work. So rather than forcing someone to work just with our inputs and just with our styles and designs, taking feedback, from companies like AtlasIED, Mike, we've had a lot of conversations and some of these initial deployments, and we're learning about how we can continue to enhance the products to just make them as easy to deploy and as integratable as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's one of the real benefits of the partnership is really, us coming together and kind of, eating our own dog food, right? We're doing our own installations and we're working to see what works best together. So, my next question really is, obviously light's important, right? Obviously it's a huge part, not only at night, but during the day. I mean, we get a ton of requests with our mass notification, particularly in the education vertical, for things like blue lights on the outside. So if you've got, kids out on the recess or kids on the practice field or, parents driving up, if they see that blue light going, that's visual notification that's really critical for, hey, you need to get away, right? And I know you offer
Yes.
that as well, right? And so Brian kind of hit on it. We've got a solution that obviously, for us as a mass communication, manufacturer, our goal is to get word out every way possible, right? So we do it through paging and visual notification. Talk about that application for a second, Eddie, from the lighting side. How does, we've talked about the outside of the building. How does your lighting solution, working with our IPX product inside the building, how does that work together to create a better environment for the customer, for the end customer?
So the thing that we've come up with, which is how we got together and, met you, Michael, and AtlasIED. We came up with a solution with relays and a camera. And again, it's not specific to K through 12, which is what we were kind of looking at in the beginning when we first met, but talking to other camera manufacturers, they see this in retail, hospitals. And basically what it is you take a camera that's got analytics in it for sound. So let's just say specifically for a mass shooting at a school. I'll just be specific with that, so we're not just broad in general for everyone. So there's analytics in the camera. You've got a mic, which is one of our other partners, Sound Secure, that helps with the sound of the verification for that noise. And then that triggers the white light to come on. So that lets people know that there's an incident occurring. Because as we've talked about in the past, you've got smoke detectors. And when the smoke detector noise goes off, you don't know where the smoke's coming from. You could run right directly into the fire. So at least with the light coming on, triggered by the camera, and it's flashing, or the white light comes on, or like you said, Michael, they may want it in blue or green. We can do different colors. And then the light comes on, and then the AtlasIED product comes on, and it can be customized to do any announcement that the person wants it to say. And that just tells everybody where to go, away from the light, toward the light, a safety spot, so that's where your product comes in, being the mass enunciation product. So it all just meshes very well together.
Yeah, I love it, right? I think it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. We know from the data that, most shootings like this, most incidents like this in a school happen before school, after school, during passing period, or during lunch. And so, I think passing period and just the intensity of kids in the hallway, they won't have any idea which way to run. And we teach them. We work with a security consultant to work with them on training on what to do when something happens. And part of the answer is, get behind a locked door, because we know if we get them behind a locked door, we're going to be able to keep them safe. But which way is it coming from? Because when you start getting, we're a sound company. Once you start seeing, the sound starts echoing through the hallway, is it behind us? Is it in front of us? Now, the people that are near it already know where it is. So what we've got to do is try to protect as many people that are not, and get them behind a locked door as fast as possible, right? And so being able to see that light come on and go, that's where the problem is. I'm going the opposite way. I'm going into a classroom here. I think that's a really massive piece of visual notification, because we want to make it as big and bold as we can. And I'll share just one other piece. We use sound as a way to distract someone who's doing the shooting, right? So our announcement that plays over and over, telling them that they're in lockdown and that police have been notified and are on their way, it's loud. It starts with a sound that is meant to be kind of bowel shaking, right? Because we want to do everything we can, because we know the more we can distract and annoy, the less accurate they're going to be, right? Light is one of the other ways that we talked about being able to distract that shooter, is by creating a visual blindness, right? Just a distraction. So, there's all kinds of opportunity in this partnership. And I hope, I know the channel out there, we go to these big shows, all three of us do, and it's just solution after solution after solution after solution. And so, let's kind of take it to the next step, to the channel. why should they even pay attention to the fact that we, as two manufacturers, are working together? We kind of referenced eating our own dog food, right? We're having to put it all together and see if it works like it's supposed to. But what's the other benefit when there's so many other options out there? What's the benefit in working with a solution where two manufacturers are working together?
I'll address that. I think having kind of been on both sides of it as a manufacturer, now as a consultant working with a lot of integrators and end users, I think the biggest concern everyone has, like you go to these shows, you see a lot of products, a lot of people talk about integrations and things working together. But I think the risk for the integrators and the end users is, does it really work together? Or if I hook these two things up and I don't get the expected result, who do I go to for support? So to me, these formalized manufacturer partnerships of like AtlasIED and Iluminar saying these things work together, this is how you hook it up. And basically what's implied on the support side is, if you hook it up the way we tell you and it doesn't work, one or both of us will support you, we'll see it through. We're giving them a predictable outcome. So we de-risk this for the integrators. We help them push into new markets because they know, through the personal relationships and through the published integration documents, that this thing is supposed to work this way. It's supposed to give this result when these things happen, so they can go out and pitch it to their end users and sell it, and know that they're not going to be left holding the bag, trying to make something work that was never, that was never formally supported. So I think that's really, it's not just about things having a unified protocol, but it's really these partnerships of manufacturers formally stating that, we support this kit of products and this outcome.
Well, that's true, Brian, because coming from the integrator side myself, before I got on the manufacturer side, a lot of integrators, when you just throw components at them, it becomes overwhelming. So, with us going to market with this product as a partnership, just to let everyone know, we've tested the product together already, and it does work. So like Brian says, if they have a problem, they can come to any of us, and we've got tried and true, facts behind us that the product does work in conjunction. And again, this kind of application is not just for K through 12. People talking about in malls, at concerts, at airports, anywhere you have groups of people and you want to signal to them where an incident is occurring, like you're saying, Michael, in live format. That's where this application that we're talking about, this partnership, really comes in handy. And not to bring it back again to schools, but for instance, we came up with this solution before Uvalde, but that was such a case study right there that, they didn't know if if the shooter was still there, if it was still happening. And with this application and the light, if it was flashing or on, they would have known that the incident was still occurring, and that could have saved them. We don't know how much valuable time and lives in that situation.
Sure. Well, I'm right there with you. Again, kind of going back to, we walk these show floors, we see what the integrators are faced with, which is, how do I know that one's better than that one? I mean, that one may be bigger and their booth's more crowded. So we use the restaurant theory, right? You walk by, you see that there's a lot of people there. Oh, they must have good stuff. I mean, obviously a lot of names are reputable, but we've seen, and I've been involved in my career in partnership programs where it's really a logo on a website. And that's really the extent of the partnership. And so exactly as Brian's saying, and it's really our goal to make sure this works together. And the effort is beyond just a sales and marketing effort. It's a support effort. It's a design effort, making sure that everybody has the tools and resources to help. In this day and age, contractors want to get out and get jobs done as quickly as possible. And they want to know it's going to work like it's supposed to, so they're not losing labor dollars. So I think it's huge. So let's take it one step further then. And I think this is kind of obvious, but what's the real benefit for the end user at this point? Again, they're like, we all do. We talk to end users all the time, and they're like, look, I don't know who to believe, right? This contractor comes in and says this contractor comes in and says, I need this. I read this on a website. I saw this video. Why should the fact that we've all worked together help that end user feel more comfortable and more confident?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I think if we look at the sales cycle and the refresh cycle of a lot of these products, I think that the typical end user is expecting this equipment to work for 5 to 10 years. This isn't the kind of stuff that they're doing bleeding edge, brand new deployments every year. And so when they're thinking about it that way and budgeting it that way, they don't want to be forced in a year or 2 years to go back and have to make major changes and major new spend. So again, that partnership, that integration that kind of tells them that it's been tested, it's supported, it's, and it's not something that the integrator is making up on the fly, which some integrators are really good at that and some end users welcome that. But I think a lot of them, especially when we're getting deep into the real, like the large crowd safety and security applications, they just want to know that it's going to work. They've got other problems. They've got other headaches. They don't want to be having to come back and, be doing little firmware upgrades and tweaking this thing constantly to get to the expected result. So when you've got this package solution, tested part numbers, tested integrations, hookup diagrams, all of that, I think it's all about conveying like trust and simplicity and letting them focus their time and worries on, some other part of the million things that they have going on in their security environment.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. I think that's it, right? And so I love the fact that we're working together. The cool part, you talk about that refresh cycle. I know for a fact that the two of you have worked with our product management people to talk about the next generation of our product and how that relates to the next generation of your product. So it's beyond the here's what we have today, and it's on to, we see the value in a long-term relationship here. We're not, we're an 86-year-old audio company. We're not a lighting company. And both of you have the background there and you can bring that expertise. And it's really cool when we can all work together, because I do think it increases the benefit significantly for the end customers who are trying to figure out in the sea of options what to go pick and to know that it's going to be an investment well spent. So, and then on top of it, I like both of y'all. So it's really fun to get to work together. It's nice to work with.
Well, and it's also easy. It's also easy because we both have a global presence. Yeah. So for some of those customers that are, global, it's not just, we're just in North America and then they got to figure it out somewhere else. AtlasIED and Iluminar can follow them wherever they are, anywhere in the world, and the product's going to work the same. And I know there's a big comfort level for that as well for people who may just be in the USA only, to know that, okay, well, they're not just in the US, they're doing this on a global level. So they do feel comfortable about that.
Yeah, and I think this is the early stages of this partnership, and that's the reality. We're already doing some really cool stuff together, but there's so many opportunities for us, and that's, in addition to just running the day-to-day and dealing with the phone calls and customers and all that, we all agree that, wow, there's so much more that we can even do. So I think those that are listening to this today, hold on to your seat, because there's much more to come. So I think that's really it for today. I really appreciate both of your time. If there's anything you want to add, feel free. Anything we didn't discuss today? Anything we want to make sure we say?
All I say is just give us an opportunity and you will not be disappointed.
That's it. And you're right. It's not just K-12. We do a lot in that space. And we assume that everybody listening to this was part of K-12. So they got a pretty good idea of what it felt like being in that environment. And obviously those stories tend to capture our news. But you're right. In the world we live in today, it's really everything. So every vertical. So definitely reach out to us. We're on at AtlasIED.com. Eddie, what's your website?
And we are at Iluminar Inc., www.iluminarinc.com.
Definitely not two L's in that.
One L.
Yeah, definitely not.
No, not two L's. It means to illuminate in Spanish. So it's Iluminar.
Yeah, Michael can't spell. That's what we're talking about. All right. Well, listen, folks, I really appreciate you both being here. There's going to be more of these to come where you made a reference. We'll tease it. Made a reference to our friends over at Sound Secure. We're going to get them involved in this as well. We're all going to be on stage together at ISC East at the Javits Center in November, which is going to be really cool. And hopefully we'll be doing more stuff together in Vegas in the spring as well. Again, for everybody who watched today, thanks so much for joining. we believe in the power of partnerships, and we think we'll have a lot more great stuff to come. So thanks for your time, and we look forward to talking to you more soon. Take care.